The handshake that we all wanted, but Candice LeRae did not want, happened tonight on NXT, man. What is going on? I am JD. Thank you guys so much for joining me here tonight for the NXT review of tonight's show. Brand new set of tapings. I was not in attendance. I was not in the crowd. It was very odd for me not to be there. I'm looking for myself and I'm not there, but we got a brand new set of tapings, and we are on our way to NXT New York. And NXT kicked off with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. We're going to go over all that, plus the main event of Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler, plus an unexpected great match tonight with Dominik Dijakovic and Keith Lee. So we're going to go over all that, plus so much more. I got some random news and notes on NXT right here on the podcast tonight, man. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me right here tonight. If you missed anything else that I uploaded during the weekend on into this week, I want you guys to go check it out, man. Off the Script was on fire last weekend. I want you guys to go check all that stuff out. Plus, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. I even have some Resident Evil 2 gameplay, man. I'm almost done with Leon and his campaign. So make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out. Let me tell you something, man. I was here all day in the office working. And I have Off the Script ready for production. I guess I could call it production, filming, recording tomorrow. And you guys will see it early on Patreon. You guys will see it on Friday whenever I decide to upload it. I'm at a random time nowadays. Normally it's 5 o'clock. But what I have going on right now is I uploaded a little bit earlier. And I'm telling you, man, the intro to Off the Script on Friday is going to be absolutely mind-blowing, man. And I'm going to reveal it to you guys right now, man. It's the truth about Roman Reigns and his return to WWE. What does it mean for the future of Monday Night Raw? You guys are not going to want to miss this, man. I guarantee you this is going to make people fucking salty, and all for the right reasons. I document literally everything that Roman Reigns has gone through, all the way through WrestleMania, SummerSlam, the Greatest Royal Rumble, him not wanting to be at Crown Jewel, him relinquishing the Universal Championship and everything that happened while he was absent for the 4 months of WWE, and what is to come on the future, or in the future of Monday Night Raw, man. You're not going to want to miss this. It is going to upset many people, and you know what? I don't give a shit, because I know what I stated is not really out there as outlandish. It's the fucking truth. If you can't handle the truth, man, maybe you shouldn't really be watching pro wrestling. Seriously. We'll go over all that, man. I'm telling you. It's going to make people salty. I'm going to have more death threats than ever before coming at me. Guarantee you. So make sure you guys tune in on Friday. I'm getting excited. I'm getting you guys excited, man. Was that a sales pitch? Was that a fucking sales pitch, man? It's going to be good. It's going to be fucking good, man. Anyway, you guys know the deal. Follow me on social media. Follow me on social media, man. JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on that bell for all your notifications. Yes, all. Make sure you guys turn on all notifications. Not some, all. Follow me on Twitch, JD from New York. And then patreon.com/JD from NY206. All of you beasts that have pledged towards the Patreon page, you're getting a shout out on Fridays Off the Script, man. Thank you guys so very much. Get your t-shirts, man. Bonfire.com, the official exclusive home of JD's Elite. We are now over 150 sold for the month of February, man. The only place to get it is at bonfire.com. Link will be down in the description of this very video towards the top. Go and get your t-shirts tonight. Let's close February out with a bang, man. Bonfire.com. Become a part of JD's Elite. So make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out as always. And I want to thank you guys so very much for all your support right here on Off the Script. Got some news articles, man. We're going to go over a few news and notes. NXT coach is now becoming a full-time producer on the WWE main roster. Now, WWE has already added several different producers. We don't know where they're going to fit. We got Abyss. We got Sanjay Dutt. We got Jeff Jarrett. We got Shane Helms. We got Sean Daivari. WWE just let go of Arn Anderson. But now WWE seems to be plucking more than just the big four from NXT. They have now pretty much taken Steve Corino from NXT. NXT now is without Steve Corino. He changed his profile on social media to reflect now that he is a WWE producer. It is unclear which brand he will start on, but he is getting the call-up very, very soon. Shane Helms, Abyss, Sean Daivari, Sanjay Dutt, Jeff Jarrett are some of the recent additions to the main roster as far as producers and backstage roles go. Others are still there as well, but Arn Anderson, as I had reported on Off the Script, is not there with WWE anymore. He was fired due to a backstage altercation with Vince McMahon. Now, we don't know what happened there. We don't have any news on his firing. But with Steve Corino and the addition of Corino, you have to wonder if WWE is gearing up for getting themselves ready for 2019 backstage. Now, we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, I will keep you guys updated on what is going on. With Arn Anderson, we don't have any news or updates on what got him fired. But a lot of people are questioning, is Arn Anderson being a part of StarCast a reason that Vince McMahon fired Arn Anderson? I don't think that's the sole reason of what happened here. I think that is a minute reason. But Vince McMahon, if you are on his shit list and he doesn't like you, plus on top of that, he hired all these backstage producers, you know, at some point, he's going to find somebody to be expendable. So he looked at Arn Anderson. I don't like him. He hasn't done really what I wanted him to do. He got into a verbal backstage argument with me, so I'm going to let him go. He's expendable. So I don't know what happened, but Arn Anderson certainly, you know, proved himself to be expendable in the eyes of Vince McMahon. So we have now Steve Corino, who is working for NXT now on the WWE main roster. Our only desire with all these producers and backstage names is that WWE television on Monday night and Tuesday night actually gets a little bit better than what we've been seeing. That's all I ask for. So I don't know what's going to change. You ultimately have to worry about the man himself, Vince McMahon. His word is what WWE is going to go by. Everybody else could throw their ideas on the bulletin board, but if Vince McMahon is going to do what Vince McMahon wants, how much change are we going to see on WWE television? Barely any. So I'm hoping with all these new producers and these backstage and these backstage coaches, and with the addition of Bruce Pritchard on Monday Night Raw Creative, head of Monday Night Raw Creative, we start to see some real change in WWE on Monday and Tuesday nights. It's gonna be a wait and see game. I don't know. I don't really know. So we'll wait and find out what is to come with all of that, with the backstage roles as far as the main roster goes. Now, Alistair Black. A lot of people are asking me, is Alistair Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster? The answer is yes. They're going to be doing triple duty. They're going to be working Raw, they're going to be working SmackDown, and they're going to be working NXT. Now, Alistair Black actually gave you a definite 100% answer as far as what he is doing on the main roster. He was at a house show recently this past weekend, and he said his goodbyes to the NXT faithful. He is definitely on his way 100% to the main roster. Now, whatever they have going on at NXT New York, it will probably be his last appearance for NXT. And Alistair Black is one of those guys that we all assume was going to be on the main roster anyway. So his addition to the main roster really isn't a surprise to anybody. Ricochet is definitely more of a surprise. Johnny Gargano is a surprise. Tommaso Ciampa is a surprise right now. But out of the four, Alistair Black is definitely not a surprise to be making his main roster debut and staying there on the main roster. To me, the guy's a future WWE champion. So far, I think the WWE has done an admirable job at presenting Alistair Black. I just wish that they really hone in on his characteristics and keep what they did in NXT prominent on the main roster. I don't want this guy looking any different. They did it perfectly in NXT, and all you need to do really to have this guy be a success is to take what they did in NXT and apply it to the main roster. Literally, they gave you everything you needed. It's like NXT gave you a cheat sheet on Alistair Black. They're telling you, these are the answers to the test. All you have to do is book him in the right role and give him the right opponents, and this guy's going to be a future WWE champion. So I don't understand why they would even entertain the idea of just failing this project on the main roster. It was great in NXT. Alistair Black right now is one of the big four in NXT. You put him on the main roster, people are already talking that this guy's going to be the real deal. And he is the real deal. This guy's the future WWE champion. So don't overdo it. Do exactly what they did in NXT, and you should be fine. But Alistair Black is definitely getting the call up 100% on the main roster. Whether he's on Raw or SmackDown remains to be seen. So we'll figure that out as the time goes on. That is all the news and notes I got on NXT. It's been a slow NXT week. I'm sure we'll have more as the weeks go on with the Dusty Classic and going into NXT New York. Now, NXT tonight opened up with Johnny Gargano in the ring. And he says it's been a pretty interesting couple of weeks. He says he's one of the newest members of the Raw and SmackDown roster, and he's been able to show the WWE Universe what NXT is all about. Gargano comments on his title match against the Velveteen Dream. Says it was one of the toughest opponents, toughest matches he's ever had. And now he said after TakeOver Phoenix, he introduced everyone to Johnny Champion. But in his first test, he lost the title. Crowd is starting to chant Johnny Failure. He says he called himself, and all the fans prefer the Johnny Champion chant. He prefers the Johnny Champion chant. Gargano says he still feels like a champion, but he doesn't have a championship. He goes on to say that he realized the only reason he's had any success around here, and before he continued his sentence, or finished his sentence, Tommaso Ciampa comes out. From the stage, we got Ciampa with a microphone. Gargano, immediately, with the visual of Ciampa walking down the aisle, says they both know Gargano is at his best when he's next to Ciampa. Now, they proved it already on the main roster. Whenever they're in the ring together, they win, except for last week. Ciampa says he's offered his help, but Gargano wanted to go at it alone and lost. Ciampa says while he's standing here with a title, the NXT title, Gargano is without a title. But that doesn't have to be, since the Dusty Tag Team Classic has returned. Now, Ciampa is stating, and he's making a very, very lucrative offer to Johnny Gargano. He's trying to bribe him into this situation. Ciampa says the winner of this Dusty Classic gets a title opportunity at TakeOver New York, the big stage, the bright lights. If they team up, they will be champions. So Ciampa holds out his hand, and the handshake that we were pretty much wanting, I was going to say because of Candice LeRae, which was actually the case. Candice LeRae stopped the handshake. Remember when Johnny was the North American champion and they met on the stage and Ciampa put out his hand and Candice was like, "Are you kidding me? Are you going to trust this guy right now? Are you really doing this right now?" Johnny didn't get an opportunity to shake Tommaso Ciampa's hand. Candice wasn't around in this moment. It was Johnny in the ring all by himself. So with all that Ciampa laid out for Johnny Gargano, Johnny ended up shaking the hand of Tommaso Ciampa. So there you go. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about this entire storyline. I wasn't really in favor of Johnny losing the North American Championship, but I guess it actually works out better in the end. Johnny is going to eventually get his championship match with Ciampa. Now, the only thing left is how we're going to get there. They're using the Dusty Classic, which is a great idea because not only does it build up the Dusty Classic by having so many lucrative teams in the Dusty Classic, but it's also building up your main program for NXT TakeOver New York for the NXT Championship. There's no doubt in my mind that something is going to happen here. Whatever Ciampa or Gargano does in this situation, that's going to lead to a championship match. And Ciampa, knowing the villain that he is, his greatest threat right now is nobody. The only other threat that he sees to his NXT Championship is Johnny Gargano. So what is the best thing that Ciampa could do? Is keep your enemies close to your chest. Yeah, Johnny may be his best friend. He may be coming off as Johnny's friend here, but he knows how much of a threat Johnny is to that NXT Championship. He wants to keep him close to the chest. So he made a lucrative offer. Listen, we got the Dusty Classic. We know you lost, and we know that there's championship gold out there that's ready to be taken. If we are together, you know how good we are. And if we're in this thing together, literally nobody could beat us. Right then and there. Ciampa is dropping already hints about what's happening there. Nobody could beat us? Could be true. But realistically, the only thing that's going to beat Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Either something happens in that match that fucks everything up for their chances in the tournament and sets the stage for TakeOver New York, or they win the entire tournament and beat the War Raiders and become tag team champions, which I don't see happening. I think this is great. It's simple, it's effective, but it's great. You don't need to really go out there because this is the final chapter. We've been through the fucking wars with these guys. We've seen these guys go at it. No DQ matches, street fights, fucking unsanctioned matches. They tore the house down in 2018. There's nothing more that these guys could do. So why not? The only chapter left to be written here is team up and let that take the course to NXT TakeOver New York. We'll see what happens, man. I thought this was great. And the funny thing is, after this all was over, Candice LeRae was outside. Johnny and Ciampa walked out of Full Sail University, and Candice LeRae was outside. Johnny looked defeated, while Ciampa looked at Candice and walked away, as if he knew what he was doing. He didn't want to hear Candice. He didn't even want to look back at Johnny Gargano. Candice LeRae is not pleased. She says, yeah, again? You're doing this again. And that was pretty much it. And she walked away from her own husband. And that was it. Gargano says to LeRae, trust him. Trust him, says Johnny. She's not happy about that. And that was the end of that. I think this is fantastic. It's simple, effective. It's using the Dusty Classic to its full potential. And I think it's going to be great. I honestly think it's going to be great. Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah versus Taynara Conti and Xia Li. I genuinely don't care for any of these women in the ring right now. Xia Li is being hyped up. She's being built up. I got to see more of her to, I guess, kind of gauge where she's going to be. Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah, they do absolutely nothing for me whatsoever, man. Vanessa Bourne is green as grass. She looks like she's wearing lingerie into the bedroom as her ring attire. Aaliyah rather shake her ass and look like some fucking Louis Vuitton model in the ring. Nothing really there. They really dumbed her down. Aaliyah, I remember wanting to be a fucking pro wrestler. And now she's obviously got some enhancements done. And she's there, and she looks vastly different from when I remember her on Breaking Ground. And here she is, a lot worse off this time than she was earlier on. And now you're mixing her with the Vanessa Bourne, and nothing is going to materialize out of that. When I look at both of them, they remind me of the Iconics 2.0 on NXT. And that's not really the type of category you want to be placed in. Tenora Conti and Xia Li, nothing special there at all. Tenora Conti was in 2 Mae Young Classics. Nothing stands out about her. She's very green still, very boring, very bland. Xia Li, you may be a fan of Xia Li, but there's nothing special there to me. This is just filling TV time, in my honest opinion, in the NXT women's division. Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah win via pinfall. Bourne gets a blind tag. She takes down Lee and Conti. Aaliyah with a running blockbuster, yanking Lee over Bourne's knee. Looked very sloppy. Let me repeat that. It's Aaliyah trying to do a running blockbuster as Xia Li is draped over Vanessa Bourne's knee, and it looked incredibly sloppy. And that was enough to get the victory. So Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah win via pinfall. I don't know where they're going with this. I guess they're pairing them up in hopes that they may be contenders for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. They have a long, long, long way to go if they want to get into that category to vie for those Tag Team Championships. Velveteen Dream enters the building. He's walking through the Full Sail parking lot. He goes to answer a question, and then the Undisputed Era. The question was about him being the new North American champion. How does it feel to be the new North American champion? He goes on to say, why don't you ask me about the North American Championship and how this is a new experience for the new North American Championship. It's a new experience for the title. Undisputed Era comes on through the parking lot, and Adam Cole says he will be the new North American champion soon enough. Cole says to the interviewer that he should be talking to Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, who will be the next tag team champions, being that they are in the Dusty Tag Team Classic. Dream then says and lets them know, I don't have time for you boys, and walks off. He also says to Adam Cole that, let me see you start talking all this nonsense without you and your fucking boys around. So we could be honestly getting set for an Adam Cole versus a Velveteen Dream NXT TakeOver New York North American Championship match. I have absolutely no issues with that whatsoever. Backstage, Kathy Kelly says she's waiting for Regal to finalize the teams for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. She hears a bunch of yelling in the distance, and Bianca Belair and Io Shirai are arguing with each other about the Women's Championship, and they are separated by WWE management. And then William Regal proceeds to book a match between Bianca Belair and Io Shirai. The winner will be the number one contender for Shayna Baszler's NXT Women's Championship. So we could be looking at either one of those women, either Bianca getting a rematch or the fresh matchup in Io taking the Women's Championship. Dominik Dijakovic, or Dijakovic. It's tough, man. I got to get used to it. Dominik Dijakovic versus Keith Lee. Man, was this a good match. This was a quintessential, perfect big man match. Can I tell you something, man? I got to be honest with you. I'm looking at Keith Lee. I don't like the new theme song. I like the old theme song better. Apparently, they changed his theme song to include verses and lyrics by Keith Lee. I like the old one better. I don't know what it is with Keith Lee, man, but I'm looking at Keith Lee and I'm like, man, I cannot visualize him on the main roster for WWE. I can't. Imagine Keith Lee in the hands of Vince McMahon. The guy would absolutely be buried in every sense of the word. And that's what I'm looking at. Someone who is not there, and I don't know how long it's going to take him to get there. I don't trust Vince McMahon whatsoever with Keith Lee. And I don't expect Keith Lee to change in any aspect at all. I'm just worried. I'm honestly worried. Keith Lee looks like one of those guys that is going to be in NXT for the duration of his career. It may actually be beneficial for him to be in NXT for the rest of his career. I just don't see anything on the main roster with him. Dominik Dijakovic, listen, this guy is an absolute fucking beast. We know the guy can go. The guy is physically dominant. The guy is athletic for a guy his size. He's got all the makings of a perfect Vince McMahon, just fucking perfect wrestler for Vince McMahon's camp. I know. Just look at him. But with this match, man, they beat the shit out of each other to a double count out. Dijakovic heads up to the second rope, leaps, double chops to his chest by Lee. Lee then lifts and spikes Dijakovic for only a 2 count. Crowd is really getting into this match because these guys were beating the shit out of each other. Big power moves with big strikes. Who doesn't like that? With two guys who are as athletic as both Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Dijakovic with more strikes lands a running knee that sends Lee out to the floor. Now, Dijakovic at this point is on the apron, looks for an Asai moonsault and takes out Lee on the outside. He does a springboard Asai moonsault on the outside to Keith Lee and takes him out. They both land very hard on the ramp, slow to get up. Referee starts his 10 count, and neither man at this point can get back up for the 10 count. Crowd wants them to keep going, and the crowd actually starts a "We Want Regal" chant. Now, I'm watching this match, and after the match was over, if this was on a takeover, and these guys got 10 to 12 minutes in the opening match at a takeover, these guys would have torn the house down. Being that it was at Full Sail, and we got already most of what these guys could do in the ring, I don't know how much longer they could go. Clearly, they're building up Dijakovic. Clearly, Keith Lee has to get some sort of momentum underneath him. If this was a takeover match for the first time, seeing it, showcasing two of the new guys on the NXT roster, this would have been a match that people were talking about the next day at work. I don't know how much more these guys could do after tonight. I would not put it past them, but there's not much more they can do after tonight. I'm excited to see what they could do, but it is what it is. It was a big man match, very athletic, big power moves, big strikes, double count out. It's going to be on WWE who they want to have the most momentum coming out of this. And from what I could see, it's Dominik Dijakovic. He's been featured a lot more than Keith Lee has. So we'll see what happens. It's just interesting to see that they ended in a double count out, meaning that they do care for both guys and they have plans at least somewhat for both guys. But I'm thinking of this on a grander scale. This is just a random match thrown together on NXT. But if this was at a takeover, imagine how everybody would be thinking of both of these guys coming out of that takeover match. I think it was a missed opportunity for WWE. Just something that they threw out there. Two big guys, similar stature, similar as far as athleticism goes. And they ended up being the best match of the night. So we'll see what happens with these two guys, man. Double count out for Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. Now, we had Alistair Black and Ricochet, DIY, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, and Mustache Mountain were the last four teams to join Undisputed Era, Forgotten Sons, Fabian Eichner, and Marcel Bartel, and the Street Profits. So that is that for the Dusty Tag Team Classic. First round matches are Mustache Mountain versus Street Profits, Lorcan and Burch versus the Forgotten Sons, DIY versus Undisputed Era, and Alistair Black and Ricochet versus Eichner and Bartel. Now, if you want to have some fun with this, let's look at these first round matches. We got the team of Mustache Mountain, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, against the Street Profits. I'm going with Mustache Mountain. Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Forgotten Sons. I'm going with Lorcan and Burch because the Forgotten Sons should stay forgotten. DIY versus Undisputed Era. I'm going with DIY. I'm going with DIY. Black and Ricochet versus Eichner and Bartel. I'm going with Black and Ricochet, of course. So that will leave us with DIY versus Black and Ricochet. What a match that's going to fucking be. And I'm going with the team of Mustache Mountain and Lorcan and Burch. So right then and there, we got Mustache Mountain going to the finals against Black and Ricochet. That is what I'm predicting for the Dusty Tag Team Classic. Something is going to happen in the match with Black and Ricochet that causes DIY to just explode. Because it's not going to happen in a match against Undisputed Era. They're going to beat Undisputed Era. They're going to at least prove to everybody that they're on the same page. And when they get through the Undisputed Era, then they got Black and Ricochet. Two guys that they've had a decent history with. And that's where everything's going to just break down. And who is going to turn on who? I don't know. That's my prediction for NXT and the Dusty Classic with Ciampa and Gargano being in the tournament. We got Sasha Banks. Yes, this is not a Monday Night Raw review. Sasha Banks and BAYLEY on NXT TV. Very, very good moment with Sasha Banks coming out. People heard her theme music. They were literally going fucking apeshit crazy. BAYLEY walked down the aisle. Sasha Banks introduced her. She was pandering to the crowd. She went over to hug Izzy. And it was just a feel-good moment because I can't imagine Izzy knowing what was going to happen during the set of tapings. So when Izzy was there, they actually showed her on camera and she was legitimately crying because she didn't anticipate BAYLEY being there at Full Sail University to address the status of the NXT tag team division for the women. You know, they're here for Monday Night Raw with the Women's Tag Team Championships, pretty much telling everybody that if you want a shot at these titles, we are okay with coming here down to Full Sail University. Sasha Banks and BAYLEY looked as happy as I've ever seen them in NXT. Sasha Banks and BAYLEY didn't look like they were memorizing a promo. Everything was from the heart. They were given bullet points to go out there, hit these bullet points, give a genuine feel to the NXT audience. People absolutely went apeshit. You deserve it. Welcome back. I mean, God knows what these two women were feeling. For the first time in 2 years that we've seen them on the main roster, they looked back home. They looked normal. And they looked happy. You know? BAYLEY looked in her comfort zone. Sasha Banks looked to be in her comfort zone. You can tell the difference between brand to brand and entertainer, wrestler, when they're on NXT compared to when they're on Monday Night Raw. You could tell. You could tell what the issue is. It's not difficult. Just look at this promo. Sasha Banks and BAYLEY in an NXT ring. Last time they were in the ring together, says BAYLEY, was for TakeOver Respect, where they main evented in their Iron Woman match. I don't want to nitpick here, but this is typical WWE verbatim. They introduce BAYLEY and Sasha Banks as the first ever women's tag team champions. No. I'm sorry. That's got to go. That's got to be cut out. First ever women's tag team champions. There is a huge disrespect there to everybody else in the past when it comes to making a line like that. You can't do that. You know, I know this is WWE and they're pandering to their audience now, but have some respect for what happened in the past. Have some respect for some fucking history, please. Because without what happened in the past, you wouldn't have what you have today. I don't like that. And it really bothers me when I hear shit like that. The first ever women's tag team champions, BAYLEY and Sasha Banks. They are not. Do they deserve it? Yes, but they are not. Takeover Respect is where they main evented in their Women's Iron Woman match. Bayley says that they want these titles to be the most sought out, talked about titles in all of WWE. Banks says they plan on taking the titles from Raw to SmackDown to NXT. And Bayley tells the NXT women's locker room to step up. And maybe when they return to NXT next time, they will defend these titles. Yes, Sasha and Bayley versus Io and Kairi Sane. Sasha and Bayley versus Team Kick, Dakota Kai. Right? It's fucking great. Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. That would be great. Absolutely fucking great. You know? Or the Horsewomen. Be a great way to kickstart the Horsewomen feud if WWE wanted to go that route. Reason why Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne have been teaming together or now all of a sudden forming an alliance. WWE needs to have tag teams in place for Sasha and Bayley to go up against as competition. But I love this segment, man. This was a very, very feel-good segment with two of WWE's best back home where they belong. And Sasha even said, man, is it great to be back home. Never forget where you came from. That's what she said tonight, man. Great moment. NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler and Mia Yim. Non-title match. This was decent. Really didn't do anything for me as far as Mia Yim goes, but Shayna Baszler is great at just being a submission magician, like Mauro Ranallo says, man. This was about Mia Yim's knee, Mia Yim's foot, Shayna Baszler dissecting the body parts of Mia Yim, and I'm still in my head thinking, well, these two are teammates. Or not teammates, roommates. Well, what's going to happen when they go home? They're going to be talking about the happenings of tonight. It's great, you know? This is a nice little dose of realism, knowing that these two women live together. And I'm thinking about what's going to be the conversation at the dinner table when they are home together. You know? Just fun to think about. This was Shayna Baszler taking Mia Yim and dissecting her knee and her foot. At one point, Mia Yim got, Shayna Baszler's wrist or hand into a little bit of trouble. Shayna was stomping away on Mia Yim's injured leg. Then Baszler pinned her leg down and kicks her foot. At one point, the whole thing got started off with Mia Yim trying to get a little too cocky. She tried to punt kick Shayna Baszler while she was back first against the steel steps, and Shayna moved out of the way. That's what started this entire thing. Baszler locks in a rear naked choke. Mia Yim cranks on the injured hand of Baszler. At one point, there was a moment in the match where Mia Yim injured her hand, and Baszler goes right back to the foot with an Achilles lock. Mia Yim is able to get to the rope and break all of that up. She's then able to hit a tornado DDT. Baszler's in the corner now, rocked. Yim looks for a cannonball in the corner, but she can't run because of her injury. Mia Yim did really do a great job at selling the injury that Shayna Baszler had exposed in this match, both the knee and the foot. So that was a really good job. Yim looked for cannonball. She couldn't run because of the injury. Baszler looks for the knee to the face. Yim dodges it, rolls her up, only for a 2 count. Yim with a couple of strikes, knee to the face. Eat to feet, lands. Cover, only a 2 count. Baszler goes for a gut-wrench powerbomb. Only gets a 2 count on that. Baszler tries some kicks. Yim catches one. Yim with a sit-out powerbomb, 2 count. Mia Yim looks to finish things off, but Baszler hits a penalty kick. Rear naked choke locked in. Yim tries to break the hold the same way she did before. Baszler wraps her arms and legs, and Yim is now in the Kirifuda clutch, and she's forced to tap, and that was it for Mia Yim. Shayna Baszler wins via submission, and that is the way NXT went off the air. The Women's Championship, or the Women's Champion, and Shayna Baszler standing tall. No sign of the Horsewomen. Baszler won this on her own, as she should have. Mia Yim taps out to the Kirifuda clutch. And that was NXT. It's going to get a lot better, folks, as the weeks go on. NXT TakeOver New York is taking shape. The Dusty Tag Team Classic is going to be an integral part in NXT TakeOver New York. And like I pretty much predicted, I honestly think it's going to be DIY imploding, getting them in the main event of TakeOver. Alistair Black and Ricochet are my picks to win the Dusty Tag Team Classic, as I feel it's going to be a nice sayonara for NXT. Give them a championship match against the War Raiders, tear the house down at TakeOver New York, and there you have it. NXT was great tonight. I loved it. I love the simplicity of the Gargano Ciampa storyline and the Dusty Tag Team Classic coming into play. I love that Sasha Banks and BAYLEY are back in NXT, and I love that the Women's Tag Team Championships are going to be floating between all three brands, man. The possibilities are endless, and this exactly is what needed to happen with those Tag Team Championships. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. I got a video that I have already uploaded for tomorrow. It's going to be AEW news, so make sure you guys check that out on the podcast. Cody and the boys have a lot of news coming out of AEW. I'm filling you in on everything. Plus, Brandy Rhodes signing a new hot independent women's wrestler to AEW's women's roster. Plus, they're looking at 2 WWE superstars, one former and one current for the women's division. Who are they? We'll talk about it tomorrow on Off the Script Extra, man. Thank you guys so very much for all your support. If you guys want to support the podcast, you guys know what to do, man. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you guys want to check out all the other content that I uploaded, man, please do so. Off the Script, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and some Resident Evil 2 gameplay live on the channel right now. Also, the new shirt is available on bonfire.com. Link is down in the description below. Make sure you guys go and check that out. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. We got some more content coming tomorrow, and do not miss Off the Script this Friday, man. You don't want to miss it. Until then, take care. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on OTS Extra, and then Friday on episode 263. I'll talk to you guys later.